This was one of those documents that the APC launched in Abuja, and they told the nation that they are true to their stance on restructuring Nigeria. How can this happen, considering the fact that they will have to transmit the document to the president, who will perhaps use his political will to enforce this through the National Assembly? Will that happen between now and 2019? Don't forget, a lot of people are of the opinion that if it doesn't happen before 2019, that the election shouldn't hold, that the structure we currently operate is a false one. Let's get back to the conversation. My panel tonight, Mr. Kayode Ajula in our Abuja studio, former National Secretary of the Labour Party and a lawyer. Mr. Ken Okoligbo, regular analyst on the program, is a political analyst and a member of the People's Democratic Party, weighing in on some of these issues. Let's get to the issues of true federalism, shall we? Let me come to you, Mr. Ajula, in our Abuja studio. Legally speaking, what is the reality? How quickly do you think the APC can make some of these recommendations happen in terms of implementation?
Well, my first reaction is that I'm worried, I'm afraid. Afraid in the sense that prior to this 2015 election, the APC came with their manifestos, and I've said this before right on this program, that 85% of their manifesto talked about restructuring. That means that as at that time, the APC agreed that Nigeria needs to be restructured. They agree with all the issues. Some of us have been saying that we need a real complete federalism. And unfortunately, immediately after attaining the power, when Nigeria choose to vote for them, I'm very sure Nigerians voted for them based on the fact that they are with restructuring, only for them to capitulate, to turn around, and to be dancing with the word restructuring. Now, election is some few months now. They are talking of this restructuring again. And going around the whole Nigeria, I believe that if APC is so genuine about this issue of restructuring, all they need to do is to implement what they have in their manifesto. As a political party, for you to prepare manifestos and for you to accept that restructuring is one of the things we are going to ensure will be done, and based on that, majority of Nigerians voted you to power. For you to now go around, try to go from one state to another, I believe it is more of motion without movement. That is what the APC is doing. And particularly, Malam El-Rufai, that's the governor of Kaduna State, his panel has already come with lofty ideas of how to do the restructuring. But the fear is this: there's nothing that they could do, particularly except you have to amend the Constitution. So as it is, and I want to see how such miracle will be performed between now and next election. So as it is, I wanted to believe that this is more like another way of campaigning. This is another way of hoodwinking Nigeria. This is another way of deceiving them to believe that, look, we use the restructuring to have to garner their vote. Let's use it again. But I believe Nigeria should be wise now. We are wiser.
All right, Mr. Okoligbo, if I look through, I mean, you're a student of political science. Yes. If you look through some of the issues and the agitations, all my years of journalism, and look through what Nigerians have always talked about, independent candidacy is here, suggestions are being made, recommendations are being made in that regard. The issues of power sharing, resource control also answered here. Issues of local government autonomy answered here. If you look at issues of ministerial appointment, they're even recommending that it is too cumbersome for us to have ministers across all the states, and the issues of cost of governance. These are issues that were raised here. Great ideas, isn't it, Mr. Okoligbo?
You know, the thing about it is that, you know, even in political science, we are taught one very, very simple logic. In federalism are states that come together, but they exercise their authority, but they come together under one body. But that is like first among, the federal structure becomes first among equal. The document you have here is the biggest scam Nigerians have ever seen. Really? Yes, it's the biggest scam. I tend to be corrected, and I will tell you that I'll sit in the same studio by this time next year, and use that APC would have done nothing about restructuring. The most painful aspect is that the driver of this process, who they made the chairman of the committee, El-Rufai, was the same person that said that those of us that were talking about restructuring, I'm happy restructuring started from Channel Studio, and I would cast my mind back to when I was here with Opatoko. That was when initially the first salvo was given before Atiku talked about it. And he had an interview in the same, on your same station channels. And he clearly said that those people that were talking about restructuring, of course, I'm sure he was referring to Atiku, were political opportunists who were only irresponsible and out to attract attention to themselves. If you look at the manifesto of APC, everything that they have done, they wasted public funds, as far as I'm concerned, in going around these 12 states in the geopolitical zones to carry out an exercise that they only want to use to sell to Nigerians because they want to win their votes. The truth about it is that all these things are in their manifesto. The same federalism we are talking about, the same resource control we are talking about, where we are saying that those of us from the oil-producing states want to control our resources and only pay tax to the center. They talked about it. They talked about state police and having the federal police in their manifesto. They even talked about DSEC, that is, I'm using Delta as an example, state electoral commissions having to come under independent electoral commissions and having registers of their own. Now they have turned around. The reason they've turned around in that memo, if you look at it and look at their manifesto, is in the issue of having, what do you call it? Is in the issue of political parties.
Independent candidacy?
Now having independent candidacy and local government autonomy. Those were the two things they turned around.
But
those are the only two things they introduced. The local governments, they say you should leave it to the states now. We shouldn't have autonomy. Meanwhile, the legislative... If the
APC disappoints you today and implements these recommendations, what would you say?
I am 100% sure they will not implement
Why are you so sure? Why do you want to be pessimistic? Scam. I mean, because...
Okay, how would they implement it? They lied that they were going to give 25 million Nigerians 5,000 naira. They didn't give them. They lied that they were going to get 3 million jobs on Empower. They gave only 200,000 people have been employed so far. They lied that they were going to feed school children. The 19 states where they have the pilot scheme, they're not even feeding them as at now.
Have you gone around to see those states?
I know, because I'm from Delta and the feeding program is not going on there. It's one of the pilot schemes going on. They tried to do a dress rehearsal. It has all been lies. That's what they have done. And this paper they have just brought, coming from El Rufai, is very distasteful, sorry to say.
Really?
Yes, because it's coming from a man that does not even believe in restructuring.
For some of us who believe in this country, we will hope that the party disappoints some of you, because
they will.
Did you
hear Shehu Sani? He said it is the biggest fraud. He's not an APC senator. I didn't say that. He said they will not even implement it after 2019.
I hope the APC is listening today, and perhaps they will be telling themselves that
they should waste public payers' funds on this. I mean, Buhari is going to throw away this thing like tissue paper.
Are you sure? Why would you think so?
Did you hear his speech in January?
All right.
He doesn't even believe in restructuring.
We need to go now, but let me give Mr. Ajulo just about 20 seconds to give his final word. Do you think the president, like Mr. Okolugbo said, will throw these away, these recommendations? These are two wonderful recommendations, isn't it?
You know, one thing is despite the recommendation, the president alone cannot implement it. Like I mentioned earlier, there are some sections of the Constitution that needs to be amended, like Section 7, 8, 162, first schedule, and the paragraph need to be amended. And this one, it has to be with the Senate that has to do that. And finally, one of the recommendations, and this must be challenged to APC government, talked about physical revenue and the allocation. When it comes to that, those that needs to do that, you don't need constitution to be amended for that. All they need to do is to ask the RAMFAC, that's the revenue mobilization, to do the to do the new revenue formula. Once they can do that, then we believe they can. That's the challenge. They should try to do that.
Okay.
And I believe tomorrow the president can call the revenue.
Interesting interventions from both of you. Mr. Kayode Ajulo, it seems you guys have your issues with this. Reading these ideas, for me, that I've looked into the issue of restructuring for over the years now, I look at it and I'm hoping that this is implemented. But then we will keep our job here to stay on the government and the APC to see how this is implemented. They have promised it, and we'll see that to the very end. Thank you so much, gentlemen, Mr. Kayode Ajulo and Mr. Ken Okolugbo, for your time on the programs. And many thanks also for being part of the show, wherever you may be watching. Thank you. It's our time, right? I'm sure I'll keep my everyone. Bye-bye.